All right, here we go with another episode of the Sloth Doctors. Slack Doctors. Let's start over again. Mango, he threw me off with the camera going all over the place. I'm like, all right, hold on. All right, here we go. Here we are with another episode of the Slack Doctors. I am Dr. Chip.
I'm Dr. Bob.
And today we have a repeat guest with Pat Kendrick, one of our most legitimate and popular guests. Speaking of which, right before we started rolling the cameras, you are coming down for Thanksgiving next week, right?
Yeah, but we're not going to be recording any of the days that I'm there because they're not open on the 28th. They shifted the.
You're not going to just stay and do the 2 Friday?
There isn't 2 on Friday. There's 2 on Monday instead. They're closed on the 28th.
Oh, but you're not going to stay and do the one on Friday. Yeah.
But I was going to come down in December, I think December 4th.
Well, anyway, when you come down next week, though, bring me one of his books. Quit hoarding his books.
I don't know if you can see it, if the camera picks it up, but I've actually got it highlighted back there in the one of them behind me on the bookshelf.
I just want to know, are any of the pages stuck together?
No, I didn't want to. I certainly don't want to anger you since you told me you might put my name in one of your future books. I don't want to be done dirty,
already, man.
Murdered in some horrific fashion.
Yeah, but bring me another one to read. I've only read the one book, and you're hoarding them all up there in your ivory tower. So I wanted to ask.
I completely misunderstood you when you told me last week that we were getting a returning guest, and you said it was Pat. I thought it was from the Flyers. I thought you were talking about Pat Farinas.
Oh no, wrong Pat. No, wrong Pat.
Yeah, I'm woefully unprepared for this one. I didn't write down any kind of questions or anything like that. So
we really got plenty. I got a whole list of questions if we run out of stuff to talk about. Which first thing I was going to say is Pat just got back from Italy.
I did.
Tell us about that. How was that?
It was nice. We did Rome, took for a couple nights, and then did the fast train up to Venice, where I used to live 43 years ago.
Oh, no shit. You've lived in Venice?
Yeah.
I think you said that last time you were here.
Working on my grad degree with NYU, and lived over there for about 4 months. And so we did Venice, and then back to Florence, and then we rented a car and went to Montepulciano, which is it's vineyard farm country, and there was a really nice B&B there that it looked like it was 300, 400 years old, probably was.
Right.
But the inside was all fixed up, and it's a guy and his wife that do wine and grow some other things there. And
so you speak a little Italian? A
little.
Yeah, enough to get by or whatever.
Yeah. And everyone there speaks probably 6 different languages because it's just,
That's true. In Europe, they do.
So no problem with communications. Place is old.
Oh, yeah. I was seeing stuff on Facebook, I want to say like a year or 2 ago, and they, for whatever reason, would put these random ads on Facebook about how you could buy almost a whole Italian village for a couple $100,000.
I took a look at some.
Really? Is that a real thing?
I like it there. People are nice. It's easy to get around. Man, it's really crowded right now, and I would expect that in the summer, up through August, maybe a little bit of September. But we were there in late September, early October, and everywhere you went, it was just packed. But it was good. The weather was nice. It was hot in Rome. And by the time we got to Montepulciano, it was cold. Needed a jacket, which I did not bring with me.
Oh, right. Yeah, I made that mistake with Boston. But, once you get up in that area, it's more elevated. It's more up in the mountains and stuff, right? Yeah.
Beautiful area, though. Not the crowd. Some little towns there that very quaint.
Right.
Nice countryside.
Yeah, there's a pretty tremendous difference in Italy between the north and the south. Not just cuisine and culture, but and temperature, of course, but also finances. Most of the money is in the north. The south is way, underdeveloped. Mm-hmm. My sister actually, one of my dad's kids, lived in Italy for years, working for the Girl Scouts of America. Apparently, anywhere where not anywhere, but a lot of places where there's an army base, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts will be there to kind of sort of indoctrinate the locals or make themselves more friendly with the locals. And so she was stationed over there, posted over there for years. And I can't remember the town she lived in, but I know it was in northern Italy, and it was near a fairly significant U.S. base. So she got all the advantages of being able to live in Italy, but also to shop on the base, which like the amount of money she saved on gasoline alone was ridiculous because she was paying U.S. prices for her gas as opposed to the European prices. She just came back though, living in Charlotte now, but yeah, she was there for years. I didn't think she would ever come back.
Yeah, well.
Now, did you drive around over there at all, or did you just basically cabs?
We got the car in Florence because
which side?
Monteluciani is kind of out there. You know, it was a couple hours out.
What side of the road do they're the right? They do the same side as we do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing different there. So not too hard to drive.
Well, the streets are really small, though, right?
They're small, and I mean, American drivers don't typically drive there because it's just so tight, and there's people all over the place, and they're not worried about getting run over. They just figure you won't. So it's you know, you're creeping around in a town, but you know, if you got some mileage to do in the country, that we kind of needed the car. We drove all around.
What was the car they used in the Italian job? Wasn't it a Mini Cooper where they could racing it down little stairwells and stuff?
Yeah,
very narrow streets.
Yeah.
But I mean, truthfully, a Mini Cooper's a big car in Italy. I mean, that's
we had some tiny thing. I can't remember.
They're all
the name
tiny.
Of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't any car that I've ever heard of before.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Italy, I mean, there were a bunch of scooters, right? That's what the primary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and did it rain at all while you were there?
It did a little bit, but not much.
So what do they do on the scooters when it rains?
They don't care.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
just get
honestly,
wet.
talking about Opie before, I bought him a tie there that had little scooters because you know he's got.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's got a little Vespa. Yeah.
And so yeah, they're all over the place. That's the main way to get around there. And
so before I forget about it, I want to mention the thing about this show. It's making me plumb the depths of my closet for shirts, and I've never worn this shirt before in my life, and it's it's kind of an all right shirt, but it's got buttons here on the sleeve, and I can't figure out why would there be a button.
If you want to roll that sleeve up all the way,
but then the button thing isn't available when you do that.
Well, the button is. There must be a hole in there somewhere. Do I need?
I think it had. I think it came with a cape.
I have to dress Chip over here, Bob. So
it came with a. I don't know.
Yeah, I would assume it's to keep your sleeves rolled up from sliding down your elbows, or your forearms.
What was that?
I would assume, like Patrick just said, that it's to keep your sleeves rolled up and have them keep sliding down your forearms. But there's got to be a way to roll it up and fold it in a way that you can access that button.
I don't know, man.
Inside that sleeve, there'll be a little tab that'll have the buttonhole in it, and you may not have gotten to it yet.
Oh, inside the sleeve.
Inside the sleeve.
Oh, but who the hell rolls up their sleeves that far?
Beau Brummel. Well,
I'm going to go with the cape thing. I mean, somebody gave me this shirt. Actually, George.
In the late 50s, it was a good look, you know.
I thought it was like. I was thinking it was like. At first, I thought it was what are those things? Epaulettes or whatever they're called. At first, I was like, "What is this? Like some Michael Jackson meets what's Beetlejuice or something?"
For professional car dealers, you know, to show that you got nothing up your sleeve.
Yeah, right. So, did you have any news nuggets that you wanted to run through?
No nugs for the day.
I had all kinds of stuff to talk about. Which one of the things? Let me just look at the last thing because that seemed like the most pressing one.
I spent I'll give something to fill the dead air. I spent most of the morning today watching a classic old Cannon film, one of the worst B movies in history, Lou Ferrigno as Hercules.
Yeah, that's
I believe I've seen that.
Everything about it is so point on. Him wrestling a guy in a bear suit and then flinging the bear into outer space in his rage, thereby creating the constellation Ursa Major. I tell you, it's a great film.
So it was like
Ferrigno is so roided out in this. Obviously, they dub his voice, but his veins have veins. He's popping veins out of every single part of his body. He looks like, and for a guy that size, he can run pretty fast. But I can't imagine. I would think they had to give him oxygen or something after that sprint because his heart had to be pounding like a horse.
So basically, it was an episode of the Hulk without the paint.
Yeah, basically, but even cheesier. It must have been released fairly after Clash of the Titans because they tried to make work of some claymation style photography, kind of Harry Harryhausen style or Harry Harryhausen style. and they didn't do a very good job of it.
And, to think that at one point claymation was like cutting edge technology, and then it just turned into such a joke of an
started
effect.
with Gumby.
Yeah.
No, and some of it, if done, it still sort of holds up. Some parts of Jason and the Argonauts still look pretty good. The when they're fighting the giant bronze statue that just looks at them all ominously, it's not bad. I mean, especially
for those days, not bad.
Clash of the Titans was about as good as it got, I guess, and it doesn't look good by today's standards. So
no.
I think they did claymation in that too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, stop motion. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they did claymation right up until they came up with CGI, basically, and then that just kind of took over.
Wasn't one of those Tim Burton, The Last Nightmare Before Christmas, or something like that? Wasn't one of those all original claymation style?
Probably.
I think it was The Nightmare Before Christmas with Jack Skellington. And
probably. I mean, there's a lot of claymation in Beetlejuice.
Old school manner. I'll have to ask Scott. He'll know.
Yeah, true. So anyway, the thing I was just going to talk about, and I find this completely hilarious, but I don't know if you saw, but Candace Owens went on CNN, and I guess there's this chick. I've seen her interview somebody else before, but I don't really know who she is. And it's a really weird kind of interview, like setting. They're almost like in her living room on her couch or something like that. But she's interviewing Candace Owens, and she starts asking Candace Owens about the fact that she thinks that Zionists are implanted in the government, and how that she thinks that's a white nationalist talking point. So she's trying to accuse Candace Owens of being a white nationalist. It's just like, you're kidding, right? You see that she's not white, right? She's not. It's so crazy, and it's amazing. And then the other thing. Oh yeah, and the funny part of it is this MLK's dream. He had a dream that one day a black woman could be called a white nationalist.
That's a trick.
Right. It makes me think of the old Chappelle skit show where he was the black KKK guy who was blind and lived his whole life. Black. I can't think of the name of the character.
It's Clarence something. Clarence.
Yeah, it was Clarence. I don't know why I forgot that. My grandfather's name was Clarence. I should have remembered.
Oh yeah, that's a great bit. So I was just talking to some guys that are doing a podcast next door. The guy that does the Afterburner, we saw him once, and we're talking to the ex-military guy, and apparently he runs a church where I guess he administers psychedelics to vets to help them cure their PTSD.
I'm in.
Right, and he apparently he just went to Harvard and did some speech in Harvard about the First Amendment rights that he has to treat vets as a religion, I guess, or something like that.
Is he using the Ibogaine treatment?
Yes,
I've heard talk about so many times. Yeah, that's a pretty safe, from everything I've heard about it, read about it, and watched about it. That's a pretty safe choice in the sense that it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of addictive, abusive potential. In other words, it's not that fun of a time. It's not something you're going to want to keep doing after your therapy. It's very,
And what is it? Is it it's not the blue dye stuff, is it?
No, that's methylamine. No, that's something entirely different. No, I don't know what the chemical makeup of Ibogaine is, but it's an extremely powerful hallucinogenic, similar to DMT or ayahuasca.
Okay.
But with none of the fun or pleasure. Apparently it's like kind of an ego death and break you down and really make you examine your inner self. And people that have done it have experienced profound changes, but none of them that I've ever seen interviews with have said they'd want to do it again unless they felt they had to.
Really?
So it's definitely used in a therapeutic way. I don't see a lot of people, getting hooked on Ibogaine.
No shit. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was just something that was kind of good for you that helped you get off. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That was the original use of LSD that Timothy Leary was working on. It was going to be for people that were psychotic, and you go through this trip, this LSD trip, and it alters you. And some people they would come out of their deep mental illness, whatever it was, usually psychosis, something.
And what period are you talking about here?
Oh gosh, you talking about what year?
Yeah, like
early 60s. I mean, by
right, like Timothy Leary. That's kind of what he was doing, right?
Yeah. That was his whole plan. But then he got into the public, and it was, I guess, a fairly easy formula to.
Well, you know, the whole reason they launched the drug wars because they were afraid of the white kids taking LSD and refusing to fight in Vietnam. That was basically the whole, and then the weed got lumped in there because they thought the weed was, you know, the black kids were giving white kids the weed that would then make them go do LSD. They literally thought it was like a gateway thing. That's why weed got into as a Schedule 1 with acid and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the whole reason for the drug war. They were like, hey, we can't have these enlightened young white kids. That
was mainly with the
plan.
hallucinogenics, and at that point they did lump marijuana in. But the original sin of a lot of the illegal drugs was definitely tied to racism. Marijuana was originally outlawed because it was a very easy way to crack down on Mexicans because they were the only people at the time familiar with it and were using it. And then heroin was outlawed because they were theorizing that it was causing blacks to go crazy and that they would then start raping white women, and they were, you know, trying to put that fear into the public.
Yeah.
But then Nixon in the 70s made everything illegal. You know, MDMA, before it was ruled a Schedule 1, was being used by psychiatrists in therapeutic therapy sessions, and it working really, really well. Mm-hmm. The irony of that is that drug was created by the U.S. military, and they failed. What they were trying to do was create super meth. They were trying to make something even stronger than Pervitin that the Germans had in World War II. But they backfired, and they ended up making something that made people want to be friends with each other and have sex. So they decided that it's not going to work for us. Can't really be giving that to the troops.
Super meth? Isn't meth methy enough?
No, they want it to work. It's got to work faster, last longer, you know, maybe have less side effects, those kind of things. There's always a way it can be tweaked.
That's insane. More meth. We need better meth. Oh, I saw the funniest thing, and apparently this band has been around for quite some time, but apparently there is a metal band that basically the lead singer is a screeching parrot. It's called Hate Beak. I saw I had to look at one of their songs, and it's just the production value is so low, it's kind of not even, you know, it's not really, but I could see where if you actually bump the production value up and actually, because it was just basically music with this parrot screeching and talking over it nonsensically. But I think if you just recorded the parrot first and matched the music to the parrot, I think you would have a viable commercial. No, I'm just kidding. That was just so hilarious. I couldn't believe somebody was doing that. Hate Beak. Anyway.
There's a guy on YouTube. I can't think of his name, but I'll put it in the description. I'll do the research later. And he has a parrot. I think the parrot's name is Tico or Taco or something like that. Right. And he will play electric guitar or strum an acoustic guitar along and play a Dire Straits song or, you know, some classic rock song. And the bird will engage with him and start singing along. And I don't know whether it's anthropomorphism or whether power of suggestion, but every now and again, he does kind of seems like he's trying to sync up with the sounds that he's listening to. And it sounds kind of good.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy metal screeching, but
it's just coincidence. It's literally like if you run the same loop enough times, it's going to sync up sooner or later.
Who knows how many things are on the editing room floor that didn't work, but it is entertaining. Right. I'll say that. It was as entertaining as watching an octopus play the piano. So,
I mean, there are pretty damn smart birds. They should. You would think there would be one that could maybe understand the concept of timing and come in at the right times with whatever it's supposed to, but I haven't seen it yet. It's the best they can do is like that, just kind of keep the loop going, and maybe they'll sync up and make it look like they're singing along. But yeah, that's tough to do.
Sounds like a future plan.
What's that?
Sounds like a future plan.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, dude, birds are smart as shit, especially ravens and crows. Those things can solve problems of like a 2 or 3 year old person or something like that. Sometimes they're smarter.
Corvids and like African gray parrots. There's certain other parrots are the two smartest.
I'm pretty sure it's
birds.
I'm pretty sure it's an African gray that sings for the band. But I could be wrong about that.
That's a good gig too, because they live a long time, so you don't have to worry about replacing the bird.
Well, I think most all parrots live pretty long, especially the bigger ones, like the macaws. I think can live to be over 100. So they live a long time. But anyway, so did you happen to see Pam Bondi at her press conference after they released the Epstein files or whatever?
No, I didn't have the heart.
Well, here's I literally wrote this down verbatim so I could read exactly verbatim what you said, because they asked her, basically, they go, well, you told us this was done deal. Files are closed, nothing to see here. Why the new interest in the, because apparently now they're going to investigate some Democrats, all right? So literally, this is what she says. She goes, oh, well, information that has come to certain information has new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law. That is exactly what she said.
That makes sense to somebody.
So, I got information out of that. So I think that's what she was trying to get out there. Is
some
information.
New information. Yeah. Additional new. Dude, they've had the same shit. And here's what I've been saying that the real thing in the Epstein files is the 20 trillion they laundered or whatever. But I got a bad feeling what they're really afraid to let out is that I bet somewhere in the Epstein files, it implicates Israel in 9/11. I mean, we know the Saudis did it, but why would the Saudis do it? I mean, they obviously had some prompting from somebody else, and I got a feeling that's what's in there. There's some emails and stuff that just directly point to, yeah, that was Israel behind that because they wanted us to go to war with Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran and all those, I think that's what they're afraid to show. And they should be, because...
That's a strong theory. It would certainly be something worth covering up if it was them.
I mean, other than that, what else, other than the fact that they may have laundered the money, everybody already knows, all right, a lot of these people are pedophiles. We know that. That's not damaging anymore. Everybody knows the list of who the pedophiles are.
The first time he got arrested, when they gave him the sweetheart deal. That clearly wasn't what they were upset about.
Well, it is damaging, but the list of who the pedophiles are has been out there for a while. That's not what they're hiding. So, we know that Bill Gates is a pedophile. This guy, Larry Summers, we knew before it came out. Anybody that's been to the island that many times or whatever, there's good indications as to who the pedophiles are. Now, the files may prove or disprove that whoever the pedophiles are, but I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's about either the money laundering or the fact that it's already established all kinds of ties between Epstein and Israel, which is obviously damaging to Israel considering all the stuff that went on, So, I don't know. I got a feeling there's something in there. It says, and otherwise, what's in there that's so damaging to national security that they can't tell anyone? What could it be? Because I guarantee you, Putin knows what's in those files. Netanyahu knows what's in those files. Xi knows what's in those files. Everybody that needs to, they know what's in those files. So who is it that's the security threat other than us? Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait a minute. So you're basically telling us we can't tell you this stuff because you'll freak the fuck out. What other conclusion is there, really?
Our ears are too precious to hear it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something that'd be a good book. I have to look into it.
Well, it's history. History's always a good book. You can't really make up stuff better than history. It's true. You can't. If you dive into history, there's stuff that you read and like, wait, that can't be true, and it's like, oh yeah.
What comforts me the most when I think about the government, though, is that all of the horrible things that we have that were once conspiracies but have been proven true, they all happened in the past, and so it warms my heart to know that they've stopped doing all that stuff, and that from this point forward, we can just assume that everything's going to be fine, and we can trust them.
Yeah. Yeah. I lost faith in the government when I saw, as a child, a film of U.S. troops marching towards a mushroom cloud. I was like, hey, wait a minute. That doesn't seem like a good idea to subject our own troops to what we know is probably going to not be very good for them. That doesn't seem like a good idea. But anyway. But yeah, I don't understand people that have so much faith in the government. Like, oh, they would never do. Yeah, well, yeah, they would. Why wouldn't they? Who's going to stop them? It's crazy.
Have you seen their the pain compliance weapons? This is from a couple of years ago, but they're basically like microwave radar dish mounted on top of a Humvee, and they use it on crowds. And what essentially does is it cooks the very first layer of your skin. It's like getting an insane sunburn in a matter of seconds.
Oh, really?
Your whole body gets hot, and you leave because you feel like you're being cooked.
Yeah.
They claim, of course, that it does no permanent damage, but
Yeah, it'll probably blister your skin.
They also
but
wear a
that
lead
heals
apron
up.
when they give you an X-ray, so I'm not sure I buy it.
I'm surprised they do that. They could just as easily use a low frequency. Well, that's why they don't do it. I was going to say they could use a low frequency hum and just make everybody sick to their stomach. But the problem with that is you can't make it directional. Low frequency is omnidirectional. You'd be if you're behind
the cleanup from that
speaker,
can be
still
almost
get
worse
sick
than the riot in the first place too.
What's that?
I said the cleanup from that could almost be worse than the actual just letting the riot happen.
Good point.
Got 2,000 people that pissed and shit and puked themselves all at the same time.
Well, ideally, it would make you feel bad before you got to that point. But you're right. There would be some protesters that would hold out until they totally lost it. So I was going to say, in your career as a firefighter, you had to have seen some amazingly crazy shit.
Yeah.
Did you? Well, one of the things that made me think about that is, did you see that air crash? Not too long, the UPS.
Yeah, my son went to that.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, he responded as like oh no shit.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Oh yeah. Did you see what happened?
Yeah, well, just what you see on the news.
Well, I mean, I guess they just came out with a preliminary report and basically the engine just flew off the wing. It just fell off. Like right after they got off the ground, the engine just went boop. See you later. Flew off the other side of the plane. Like what the? I mean, I guess the plane was built in '91, so we're talking about a 34-year-old plane. And I mean, I guess they do plenty of maintenance, but man,
a lot of people had the older planes. That one was a 15-passenger, so you're talking about a pretty good-sized plane. And
but it was
I don't want to give all the details to it because I don't want to put my son at some jeopardy. But it was pretty bad. I mean, it was almost atomized.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
you could see from the footage that it was going to be bad. Yeah, and I mean the thing was full of gas. It was just taking off. There's not going to be much of that left at all. But now, have you ever responded to anything that large or that?
I've been to plane crashes. I've been to train crashes. In West Palm, downtown, we got a pretty active train system, and the people that throw themselves in front of that regularly.
Right. But I mean like large scale like that, like a big liner or like a bunch of people. I mean, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, still to this day, I think Brightline just got somebody the other day. But I mean like large scale. You ever respond to any like real disasters per se?
People with guns make a large
True.
event. I mean,
True.
You get a semi-automatic or automatic machine gun out there. And
were you on duty like around when like Andrew came through or any of that kind of stuff?
I was working when Andrew came.
But you were up here though, probably, right?
I was in Tamarack by then. And,
well, that's pretty close to where all the damage was.
Yeah, well, Tamarack is right next to Coral Springs, and we used to run into Coral Springs for.
So did you have to respond after Andrew?
Yeah, we had an automatic aid agreement with them, and most of the fire departments in Broward, because there's so many of them, and Broward is kind of a small county compared to Palm Beach County or Miami-Dade, and so you'll have a fire department's only 2 stations, like North Lauderdale.
Right.
Tamarack's only 4 stations. I mean, so there's a lot of these tiny departments down there, and they don't want to give up their private fiefdom. The commissioners that have them, they know I can control the cost of this fire department.
Right.
And if I go to the county, and some people did go to the county, and typically the county has a lot more bucks, and so the fear of a commissioner, a city commissioner, is that, okay, we go with the county thinking we're going to save some money, and typically they do the first couple of years of the contract, and then boom, we're going up 500%, and that's just the pay now. And so, I mean, when I started in the fire service, I made $7,000 my first year.
Wow.
And Tamarack, the last I checked with them, they were starting them at $73,000.
Right.
And I think they've gone up to 80 now.
Right.
Forest
And so,
Springs
but
just
7,000 wasn't full time, though, was it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? No shit.
Yeah.
But then you also get like perks, like they house and feed you, right?
No, you bought your own food, and
really?
we did eating crews together. And,
But yeah, I mean, there's some percentage of time you stay at the firehouse, right?
Yeah, you stay. You're 24 on and you're 48 off.
Gotcha.
And then if you have that schedule, typically every third week you have what they call a Kelly Day. Kelly was the name of the firefighter that came up with this because.
But that doesn't make it so you don't have need your own place or anything, though.
You have to work 72 hours, and then rather than you're always working over hours, even on a regular week. If you only did 2 shifts, that's 48 hours. But sooner or later you'll come to a week that you would have worked 72 hours. So rather than pay you that, they give you a day off called a Kelly Day. Now they've gotten around that to a lot of them are going to instead of 3 shifts, they have 4 shifts now. And you don't get the Kelly Day, but you only work every 4th day.
Right. Now, let me ask you, if of all these, like, little fire, is there some kind of, like, unifying body with, like, throughout, I'd say, a county or the state or something that's, like, that says, hey, look, we need all hands on deck or anything like that?
Whoever started it. Like, there used to be 1 million little fire departments all over Florida. In Palm Beach County, there was Military Trail, and there was a bunch of them, just one station fire departments. And that's what the county did now, probably 30 years ago or so. And then they started pulling them together. And I think they've gotten as far as they're going to get. Like even Jupiter, who was being serviced by the county, they have started their own fire department. And they've got 3 stations, I think. I know the guy that's the chief there. He was the chief at City of Palm Beach, town of Palm Beach. Good guy. So they're starting all over with that because a town or a city, they have a finite amount of money to spend, and that's all there is. And all they can do to raise that is raise taxes to their residents. Right. So if you have your little town, your own private fiefdom, then you can control that. And you say, well, guys, you're not getting a raise for a while. Where the county, you have a whole lot more resources, a whole lot of cities that used to have a budget for a fire department. Some of them, have kept the idea, we're going to keep that money and then we'll give that to the county.
Let's get off the bureaucratic.
Is there anything on a state level like that? Like I know with police, you've got city police, county police, and you have state police. Is there a state fire department? And if so, is there one for every state or?
No.
Like not even California have one with the amount of wildfires they have? Some governing body that can round up the rest of the fire departments?
California's got LA fire departments, got San Francisco fire department, a lot of really old fire departments out there. Now, the upkeep on some of those, when I've been out there and I'll visit some of these places, the upkeep on them, I mean, is not great, They get paid well. They have to live in California. But
there's only so much money left over.
It's not like you get brand new furniture in there or something like that. We're here in Palm Beach County. I mean, some of the stations are pretty nice. I mean, they're new.
Our state apparently has plenty of money. Apparently, DeSantis has got a couple of billion in reserve just hanging around, which is why I'm surprised he doesn't do something about. Well, he says he's going to put something on the ballot next year about the property taxes, but more like I want to hear more about like if you had to go respond to like Andrew, what kind of stuff, what kind of calls would you get for Andrew? Like people just like thrown out of their houses by wind or getting hit in the head by 2x4s?
You're going to get a lot of people, they lose their roof and stuff like that, and they have some injuries. Sometimes there's fire started in the hurricanes.
True.
The electric's off for a while and it comes back on and off, But you have structure collapses.
Yeah.
So when you hear about, mass devastation and stuff, of course there's not enough people to do it, and the trained people are usually USAR teams.
Now, when you were doing it, did they have the dogs, like the sniffing dogs looking for people in collapsed?
Not when it first started. I
Gotcha.
mean, when they started doing USAR teams, they weren't using dogs. They do now.
Right.
Especially if there's a building down. You remember the hotel that just crumbled?
Right.
That was all with the USAR team. A lot of guys I know went to that. And then the hurricanes, there's no telling what you'll find. I mean, there's tornadoes mixed in there. You got to look around, and no one looks up a lot of times. And a lot of times you look up in a big tree, and you start finding bodies.
Yeah.
So it's it's a big event. Just trying to get the roads back in a functional state.
Even getting to a call sometimes, like, hey, we can't get there.
And you can't get to something.
Well, and you have to bust out there with the chainsaws, right? You got the first guys, right? Yeah, we got to get this road open. There's somebody down this road needs a call. Yeah. So
my
other than
grandfather lived in Homestead during Andrew in a mobile home. I mean, he wasn't there for it, but we went down in a vain attempt to see if there was anything that could be salvaged afterwards, and it was not. The entire mobile home was basically looked like you stepped on a beer can to recycle it, just crushed to the ground. The roof of the mobile home was about 3.5 feet off the ground. Everything that was in there was just compressed down into 3.5 feet.
Yeah,
that's
interesting. We got nothing, absolutely nothing back. There were armed National Guard on the streets.
Something must have landed on it.
You needed to know where you were going precisely because the landmarks were all gone. I was like, oh, I remember this. We used to go 3 blocks past the CVS. Yeah. Can't tell it's a CVS anymore.
Yeah, there's no reason to go there. All your stuff's gone.
Well,
it's amazing.
After Andrew, I drove through the area. It looked honestly like an atom bomb had gone off.
Right. I imagine that's what Jamaica looks like right now.
Smoke coming up here and there. Some of it, they're just piling debris together and burning it. Where else can you take it? Is the landfills already filled or closed or whatever?
I remember driving in too, and you could see the levels and degrees of how bad it was the closer you got to the ground zero, so to speak. At first, it was just missing tiles on the roof corners and stuff, and all the grass being blown in one direction, and then trees kind of bent over, and then trees uprooted, and then buildings with no roofs, and then nothing. It was smushed.
Yeah, I remember Andrew. I went through it up here in West Palm, and we still had like 80, 90 mile an hour wind, even up here. It was not a small storm at all. It was, I think it was, that one that hit Jamaica was pretty close. I think the one in Jamaica had a much bigger eye. But other than that was pretty close to an Andrew.
I'm surprised we're not hearing about hundreds, maybe even thousands of deaths over there.
Yeah, well,
because they're really not prepared for it. And they live in shacks.
Yeah,
not
I agree.
About a concrete brick building.
I agree, and I think the only reason we're not hearing about it is because they're just not reporting it because it doesn't really push any agenda or anything. But yeah, I said that after it happened. I was like, man, they're gonna. I said, hopefully they won't turn into Haiti. Because unless you go in there and just totally rebuild. But, like I said, it could be
the safest places there were probably the tourist areas, which were probably the best built and the most recently and modernly built.
True.
Hopefully
they don't have those
let people use them as shelters during that storm, and pull a reverse Joel Osteen and not lock the doors to the church. But I haven't heard any news about it. But I would think that would be the best place to shelter there.
Yeah, and maybe it's like, hopefully it's only just that one part of the island that got hit that bad and not the whole island. But it got. It's funny you should mention Joel Osteen. He's just been in a feud with Candace Owens. He said something about Candace Owens, and I keep seeing this meme on Facebook about how she buried or just completely humiliated him in front of his church, but they won't show what she said or what she did. So I don't know. It could be all bullshit, but I don't know. That's an interesting feud to have, Joel Osteen versus Candace Owens. I don't see that going well for Joel.
Hard to pick a winner.
Yeah. Well, I like Candace Owens. I don't agree with everything she's a little too religious for me, first of all, and second of all, I never liked her stance on the George Floyd thing. Like, she almost wants to blame George Floyd, which, look, even if it's true that he was dying of a fentanyl overdose and would have died anyway, I'm pretty sure the treatment for a fentanyl overdose isn't a knee to the back of the neck. I don't think that's the treatment that you give that kind of. So I don't get her stance on that. The whole righteous right kind of like, look, whatever. I don't know. But there's so many other things that I agree with her about, like, the whole. She's all over the Charlie Kirk thing. Oh, and did you happen to see? Do you know who Sean Ryan is? You ever watch his podcast?
No.
Well, he's an ex-military guy, and he had the head of security for Charlie Kirk from when he got shot on his show. And he cleared up a bunch of stuff, like there's definitely no exit wound. There was an autopsy done. He says the bullet entered, hit like C2 or 3, crushed it, and then went down, hit C6, and then fragmented, which, how he would know that, I don't really know, but that's what he claims, which I don't, I don't necessarily doubt that. That sounds like it's feasible. But he did have, he still had a ton of questions even, and he said some stuff that was a little skeptical, because he showed a text where they asked about the roof in question, like, hey, there's a roof there that could be an issue.
It amazed me because I kind of got an eye for that type of thing. When we used to put together Sunfest, when that first started, it was just a jazz thing and not a big deal. People came, it was free. By the time it was over, you're paying probably $100 a day. There was everyone coming. There was drug overdoses there, and there's always a risk like that if you got a crowd.
Right.
And I was up at in Tallahassee getting my 3rd Florida Book Award. If you guys want to talk about books, and we had a pretty high up building, and just for giggles, I went up to the roof just to see, because they had 4 cops, and it was a big street fair. It's Word of South Festival is there when they do the book awards too. So it's really a really nice festival, but the police presence wasn't like you see in South Florida. I mean, they had 4 cops to cover a whole area, and they were all kind of in the same area, and I couldn't help but think, I get morbid thinking, but when you write thrillers about people that are weird like that, I can't help but think about it. And I was telling my wife, I mean, look at this, they're all together, first of all, the cops, and no one looks up. No one ever looks up.
Yeah. Well, and supposedly he sent this text to either, I forget, it was either the head of the university or the head of the cops or the police or whatever, but they texted him back, we got this, we got you covered, or something like that. But so then you just forget about it? Someone
had mentioned about the tops of some of there were trailers and stuff that were around there, and a little building that.
At the Charlie Kirk thing?
That the kid
got
up on top of. There were people that said that's someone. One of the cops said told another one, said, hey, that could be a
Yeah, and somebody's they're reporting that they're saying that they saw another guy in tactical gear on another roof who could have been the shooter. The one thing is the spot that they think the shooter came from. If the footage of that guy running off the roof is who they claim to be the shooter, that's a problem, because I don't see a rifle on that guy, and even if he broke down the rifle and hid it in that bag, which he didn't have time to, that whole story is the part that just gets ridiculously unbelievable, that they're claiming that guy on that footage is the guy that took the shot. That's the part to me that I don't know. I mean, and then the whole part after that was just so convenient. They found the gun with the bullets, with the writing, with the texts, and his dad dad didn't turn him in. Nobody. The whole thing just stinks. The whole thing just stinks. To anybody.
These things happen, and they spur the imagination. They almost always turn into there's another shooter somewhere. I mean, from the Kennedy days on up to now. I was always thinking there must be someone else that shot him from some other direction. And in Kennedy's case, you can see that if you ever look at some of the film.
Yeah, they've admitted it. They've said on the CIA has come out and said on the floor of the Senate, said, yeah, there's definitely more than one shooter in the Kennedy assassination. They've admitted it. But and the thing is, especially with this kind of thing, it just it's obvious somebody shot him. But why are you trying to paint this one guy? If you have evidence that this guy did it, show us the evidence. Don't show us a bunch of shit that's not evidence. It's just so obviously a sleight of hand. Why are you trying to convince us this guy that may or may not have done it did it?
It's like they're more concerned about the narrative of it than the evidence of it. They just want to craft a great story of, look, this is what he said, this is what he was wearing, this is how he did it, and this is where he went.
Which makes everybody
with hard evidence itself doesn't bear any of that up.
Which makes anybody with any sense of curiosity go, what are they hiding? Why are they pushing this narrative so hard without any proof, without any solid proof? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't think anybody would be satisfied with whatever answer, even if they were very truthful about it, on the one hand. On the other hand, I think that they don't want to talk about some of those things because the more they talk about it, the more people will realize how easy it is to get set up.
Well, I disagree. I disagree with what you're saying there, because one of the flags for me is that they came out and they go, all right, we got the gun and we have DNA evidence that links this Tyler guy to the gun. Well, wait a minute. How? First of all, I thought DNA evidence took longer than a few hours or a day or whatever. All right, that's number one. Number two, I know something that is a lot quicker than DNA evidence that would prove a lot of stuff, and that's a ballistics test. Sure. Why aren't they doing any ballistics tests saying, oh yeah, this is definitely the gun that took the shot that is linked to Tyler. I don't have any doubt that the DNA of Tyler Robinson is on the gun. But now show me that that gun is the one that shot anybody. That's the part that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm sure, but I mean, when a bullet does hit something, some of the ballistic is not there anymore.
Right.
I mean, some of
True.
what you would,
True.
Definitely.
And who knows if they
came
even
from that gun.
Who knows if they even retrieved the bullet out, or if they even just left it in there? Or I don't know. We'd have to wait till whatever autopsy report there is comes out, which nobody's seen.
If it really did fragment and just and suffer enough damage internally, maybe they couldn't get enough portions of it out to do a full ballistics test. It's possible.
Some of the reporting is that the bullet was right under the skin; they could see it. So I don't know if that's a fragment of it or half of it or whatever, but who knows? I mean, but that's, why not put out something solid like an autopsy report that would back up some of the bullshit they're claiming, instead of all this smoke and mirrors, kind of like, well, that may be true, but there's like I say, I mean, if I'm a lawyer in this case, I haven't seen anything yet that let my client go. You don't have any evidence,
I think if they gave every bit of evidence to everything that happened, people still wouldn't believe it, because people.
No, I don't think so. Look,
how would you know?
Well, if they go to trial and they say, okay, we have this ballistics evidence or whatever evidence they think, that if they have something rock solid, and supposedly, here's the thing, the NSA has everything. They have they've been spying on everybody. They've got everybody that was there's phone. They have every piece of film there, and apparently there should be footage of him taking the shot. If where he shot from, it's on camera. Why aren't they showing us that? NSA's got all of it. So I don't know. It seems like if they're going to leak out some evidence, you'd leak out something that was rock solid, damning evidence, not this kind of flimsy, like, well, it could be him, but I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know.
Especially the footage of him, of whoever getting off the roof, supposedly mere seconds after the shot took place. And yet, right. If the camera had just been panned a little bit to the left a couple of seconds earlier, we would have seen the shot take place.
No, they're saying that they have him taking the shot on camera. I believe the FBI has said that. Like, oh yeah, we have all the footage of him taking the shot and all this. And
I haven't heard that.
And who can you believe when Look, the FBI told us. Here, let's talk about this. What do you think about you hear about this? The January 6th pipe bomber?
No.
Well, they've identified who she was, and apparently she is an ex-Capitol police officer who's now in the CIA. This is the person that planted 2 pipe bombs, one of them right outside the Democratic committee's headquarters and one outside of, I think, the Republican. So what was that all about? I mean, and we're supposed to believe these people? How do you trust these people when they're doing stuff like that? It doesn't make any sense.
Those are the pipe bombs that were placed the night before, yet still only had a 1-hour timer on them?
Yeah. The whole thing is just like, what the hell was that about? And people like say it's all Trump's fault. January, look, some shit was going on January 6th other than Trump. And I believe Trump's an idiot and he shouldn't have said what he said. But even though he did, they edited the shit out of what he said. He did say, let's march down there peacefully, which, look, that's, good luck with that, but whatever. But I mean, and then you got the police, you even got footage of the actual DC police right in front of the Capitol saying, we've been set up, because there's not near enough of them there to stop what's going on. They knew it was going to happen. Somebody is like shooting tear gas off that shouldn't be shooting tear gas, and what are the percussion grenades or whatever and they're looking around going like, wait, who's doing this? They got to stop doing this. They're going to incite this crowd, which is exactly what happened. I don't know. The whole thing seems like there's such a setup. And they wonder why nobody believes the government anymore. You know, I don't know.
I've got a question for Mr. Kendrick.
Okay.
Completely unrelated to everything we've just talked about.
Does it have anything to do with books?
What's the new book that's yes, it sure is. What's the new book that's coming? And please tell me it's a McQueen, and if not, it'll still be okay.
So I've got I don't know if I talked about the one I was working on. That's already in my agent's hands, and we'll have that published in the next couple months. And it's the Deadly Carnal Gift, and I've got some screenplays I did too, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but there's always a firefighter guy in each one, even Extended Family that was out for a while, and I just got the rights back to that. They're looking for a serial killer that has common DNA, and so these firefighters they get themselves into situations in this new series of books I'm doing. So the Deadly Carnal Gift it's a firefighter who has a autistic son. He's functional, but he's not social. And at 18 years old, he tells his dad he wants to get laid. And of course, you know, that surprises his dad. The mother had died, so he's a widower, but he is remarried to an attorney that's kind of questionable. And so the father thinks about it for a while, and he decides he's going to give him a professional hooker. And this is the book that's going to be coming out in the next couple of months. And so he sets him up with a hooker.
I don't think there's any such thing as an amateur hooker. I think but it's a profession by design. But go ahead.
Everybody has a first day.
Well, he sets him up with a lady of the night, if you will, and he leaves him. And somehow or another, he has a cocktail that's drugged, and so he doesn't wake up for a few hours. But he starts calling his son. There's no phone call from his son saying, "Hey, you know, come pick me up." There's nothing happening, and so he goes back to the hotel to pick him up, and he goes in the room and finds the prostitute with her head smashed in, and his son is missing. So now the question is, did this son, who's now, you know, he's 18 years old, did he kill the girl, or what else happened? So there's a whole conspiracy with that too.
Interesting.
So with conspiracy, I mean, most mysteries they have to have some sort of a conspiracy, and that's what we've been talking about today. So. So there's that one, Extended Family. It's a fire investigator who gets into it with an FBI agent. I got the rights back to that, and I'll be putting that, and it's all going to be in a series called the Bad Firefighter series.
Oh, okay.
Where firefighters are not really bad, except one group. They're going to steal a painting.
So you have 2 books done for that series?
One done. I have 2 screenplays. That one's called Call 911 for Murder, and I'm puffing that up to be a full book, and then the other one is called 911 for Murder is the title of that one,
right.
And that's 2 firefighters who end up falling for one woman, and one of them ends up dead. So.
And did you write the screenplay, or you're adapting? Yeah. Oh, okay. And then you just turn it into a book.
That's how I started doing some stuff with the Hollywood Film Festival. I didn't know how to write screenplays, so I went.
Right.
I went, and that's how my first book got published too. I went to Hollywood. They had a class on how to write screenplays, and you turned in a manuscript if you had a script. And I didn't have a script. I didn't even know how to write them until I went there. But as I said, I've got a 400-something page book, and that ended up winning the Hollywood Film Festival. And they started sending me out to Hollywood to that festival. And that book became my first book, Papa's Problem.
Huh.
So that's how that happened.
So is it easier to write a book or a screenplay?
I'd say easier to do a screenplay because they don't want them. I mean, a screenplay is supposed to be 90 to 120 pages. Like, you think about a page per minute.
Right.
And I write long anyway. So my first screenplay, I tried to do, it was 180 pages. And even looking at it, they're just saying, hey, this
It's
would be
too
a better
much.
book than a screenplay.
Right.
And so it made.
So
that
I
one
see.
into-
Yeah. So books are, you can go a lot longer and more in depth than a book.
Yeah, so
Where a
you're not
screenplay, you got to
getting-
get the idea out there in a certain amount of pages.
And there's a certain way for it. It'll say interior. And it's inside of a building. It doesn't
Right,
even
right.
say what kind, or it's exterior. And then it's just dialogue. And you try and paint a picture with the dialogue, but you as a writer can't get in there and say, oh, well, the sky is blue and stuff, because you're not there. If one of the characters says the sky is blue, or there's a tornado, or whatever, that's how you
interesting.
move the action. But
No matter how good the screenplay is, a great deal of it is going to depend on the DP and their ability to create visuals that are going to help and assist this dialogue in getting the point across.
sure.
I was just going to ask, isn't there can't you at least describe a setting before they started the dialogue?
Not much. I mean, you're not going to get into artsy.
Well,
the sun
yeah.
was sinking and the color was,
Gotcha.
pink and red and all that. You might say it's at sunset on a beach, and now Mr. Jones says something to Mrs. Smith, and whatever.
Now, let me ask you this: have you ever looked into I guess Kubrick was the one that did it the most, but I guess some other guys do it. But have you ever looked into the strange, weird stuff that Kubrick puts in his films, in the
They are
background?
strange. He creates a atmosphere of weirdness, and it allows your mind to make up whatever you think. Like his last one with Tom Cruise. That was his last film.
The Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes. And there are moments in that film where there's no dialogue, and it's just people looking at each other for, 15 minutes at a time or something.
Right,
It's just
right.
unsettling.
Right.
So in that way, in his own way, that's his art. That's his style.
Yeah, that's
and
his way
you
of-
know a Kubrick film when you see it.
Yeah.
And because of that odd silence. And
And I guess that's his way of plumbing some of the depth of the book and still getting it on the film without having to explain it all. But I mean, he does some weird.
He's so specific, and the details are so much and so many that even in places where he may have not intentionally made a choice, people expect that of him, and they're going to read into it on their own as well.
Exactly.
Not that there's a lot of parts in a Kubrick film that haven't been planned out to the last infinitesimal, detail. But even if there are a few areas that are left open for interpretation, people are going to assume that it has some great meaning behind it because it's Kubrick, and everything he does has some meaning behind it. I mean, even the layout on the floor in The Shining,
Right.
the fact that the hallways don't make sense. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah, it seems
pay
real-
attention to Danny Torrance's lefts and rights,
and that's-
he shouldn't end up where he's supposed to end up. Nothing about it makes sense.
Is The Shining that's the most that he did that kind of stuff, right? I mean, he does it in all his films, but The Shining seems to be steeped in it, like all the tribal patterns and all the weird stuff he did in that movie. That
Right.
seemed to be like his
He
peak.
incorporated a lot of themes into that movie too that didn't even exist in the book, which is one of the reasons why Stephen King had problems with it. But like the whole Native American Western themes that he put into there with some of the things on the walls, even down to the items that were found in dry storage in the pantry, the kitchen portion, the Calumet baking soda with the Indian chief on it and stuff. He really tied in some details. Some of the things on Umbridge or Stuart Olmert, I can't remember the guy's name, the manager that hired Jack Torrance in the first place.
Right.
But some of the little knickknacks on his desk and things like that. And those are not elements that are found in the book. Those are all things that Kubrick put into it, as well as, I mean, there's quite a few changes that he made. There's no hedge maze in the book. In the book, the topiary actually comes to life. Now, that may have been a choice Kubrick made simply because it was easier to not do the special effects because I guess he would have had to do claymation or something like that at the time, or stop motion.
I was going to say
But
that.
in the book, there's like carved hedges, like of a lion and a giant rabbit. I can't remember what the animals are. And those are the things that chase him around. Also in the book, Jack doesn't die out in the snow. Jack dies at a last-ditch attempt to stop the boiler from overheating, and the whole overlook blows up. Which makes a little bit more sense even because the actual malignant entity in the book is the Overlook. It's not Jack.
Right.
Jack's just
And there's no
being used
elevator
by
in the book,
hotel.
right?
Let's see. The Scatman Crothers character, Dick Halloran, the cook, that tells.
Right, but there's no
little Danny
elevator
about
that
the
opens
shine.
up
He
with the blood.
survives in the book.
There's no elevator in the book, though, right?
I don't recall that. But in the movie, it's very effective.
Don't think there is an elevator in the book, or at least certainly not. I don't think that visual of the opening and all the blood coming out. I don't remember that from the book. My mouse pad is actually. You guys recognize this? It's the carpet pattern from the Overlook.
Yeah, that's the carpet.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to write fiction, you got to almost make it, you know, a little spiritually surreal or supernatural to make it better than actual historic stuff. Because, I mean, there's so many good stories of actual fact that are just so amazing that people go, what? Yeah.
But when you write, you want to add your own style to it as well.
True.
And, I mean, I don't think writers think about that as much as the readers, but you can definitely. I mean, if you read something by Stephen King, you know it's by Stephen King.
Yeah. True.
If you read something from James Patterson, you know it could be any one of 100 different people because he has a lot of people write his books.
Oh, you know, I should say, before I forget, we put out a little short where I made the claim that Jim Brown only made one movie, which was, I don't know, when I watched it back, I was like, no, that's not right. What an idiot. No, but how many movies was he in, like 3 or 4? I know he's in
I don't know.
Magnificent Seven. What's that?
I don't think it was a lot, but I don't know for sure. 3 or 4
I don't
sounds
think it was
about
more
right.
than 3 or 4. And I think he was like 2 or 3 westerns and the Dirty Dozen. I don't think it was any. Was any?
We can look it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got IDBM. I don't think was he in it like a. I don't want to like a Clint Eastwood type movie where he was like dressed up in a suit.
He did quite a few. He did some westerns.
I know he did at least a couple of westerns, but. Yeah, I don't think he did more than 3 or 4.
Pat was completely right about an author having a style to the point where you can tell right away that it's them writing. And sometimes it irritates me when an author will either bring on, like, I think there's a couple of Lee Child Reacher novels towards the end of the series where it's him and his son, like writing it to Christopher, I think is the kid's name. And you can tell as you're reading the book, you're like, okay, this chapter was not done by Lee. Like it just doesn't sound the same. It doesn't sound right. Or there's a couple of sci-fi authors and fantasy authors that I have behind me on the shelf there where they'll do collaborations with another guy that I like. And you can tell within the first 3 or 4 words of a paragraph who wrote this chapter. You know, like if they passed them off back and forth, or even if they're sometimes it'll be a blending of 2 fantasy worlds where some of these characters were created by author A and some of them are created by author B. Even when the other author writes the other guy's stuff, if he uses the other guy's characters, you can still tell right away that it's not him doing it, you know? There used to be there was a guy named Robert Asprin. He was a sci-fi fantasy author. It's Asprin, and he had a series of books called Thieves' World. They were all set in this city called Sanctuary, and the whole series of books was all anthology, right? So every single story in each book would probably have 6 to 8 stories in it. Each story would be written by a completely different author. And they were allowed, the rules of the anthology were that you were allowed to use any other author's characters or settings, but you weren't allowed to kill off their character without the express permission of the author. So they really, some of these authors had feuds with each other, I guess, and they really got into it with finding novel and interesting ways to torture one of the other author's characters, but not have him die. A really interesting set of books. I liked them a lot.
When did those come out?
God, 80s and 90s. I read them when I was like, a teenager, early 20s.
Interesting. Well, we're definitely over an hour. Unless we got anything else. You got anything else? Any other projects coming out?
I'll have to come back another time.
We'll have to
and finish telling you about the books.
Next time I'll prepare. I'll actually know it's going to be you.
When you say prepare, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Go buy one of the books that I haven't read of his and read it, and ask him about it. Talk to him about it. That's what I'm going to do.
You got most of his books. You got to bring me one so I can bring one.
I haven't read Savant's. I don't have. I've got 3 of them. So
yeah, I've only read one. Bring me one of the other ones.
I'm gonna.
All right,
less
guys.
than a week.
I'll come back when the next one comes out, and that should be
there you go. Yeah.
A couple months.
Perfect. You can come. You can come by whenever you want, man.
Just drop.
I think we're eventually gonna start doing this later in the evening time after the first of the year, but we'll see what happens. We'll have to suss out exactly what's going to happen after the beginning of the year. But in the meantime, you can call our number. Oh, and you know what? Here's the thing. We've been telling people to call the phone number and leave comments, and I want to up the ante. I think people should call the phone number and leave comedy bits, not just comments. They got to leave like imagine like the quickies with the love doctors, even if it's something quick.
People can call and, you can call and leave a question. You can call and leave a comment. You can call and leave a suggestion. You can call and leave a bit. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna call with anything you got.
I'm going to throw the gauntlet down and say, call us up and leave us some comedy bits. Say something funny. A lot of people think we need more funny which actually I gotta start going hanging out at like a comedy club or something and get some comedians to start coming on the show. Then they'll make it funny. But
you want to give them that number? Or you want me to do it?
Go ahead, you got it.
904-549-9024. Call us again and like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Leave us your best comedy bit. I should start calling it because I swear to God, there's sometimes I think of something funny and it doesn't really translate. After I write it down, I get
I was
like,
going to say, I
God, that
don't
seems.
know that you're going to get too many talented comedians calling you. And they may be calling and say something.
Yeah, say we suck. I don't, we don't care. Whatever they want to say. But we'll look forward to hearing from them, whatever they say. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. I really did wish I had known it was going to be you. I really thought it was Pat from the Flyers. I had already come up with questions to ask him about his health and where he was going to be playing lately, and if he had Thanksgiving plans, and how's Austin working out? Does he still talk to Jordan? Like, I had material, but it was for the wrong guy.
We asked him about Italy.
All right. Take care, Bob.
Yep. Talk to you soon.